All week before my 38th birthday, my husband teased, "Your gift will blow your mind." That morning I woke up to silence. The house was empty. No kids. No note. By noon, Instagram showed them at a luxury beachside resort in Santorini. My daughter's caption, "Dad's treating us since mom's boring." Anyway, I didn't react. 2 hours later, my WhatsApp blew up. Desperate messages. Begging me. I stared at my phone in disbelief. 207 missed calls from Ethan. Not a single one had pierced the quiet of my now empty home. I'd switched to Do Not Disturb the second I saw Chloe's Instagram post. My thumb hovered over the WhatsApp notification, showing dozens of unread messages, all from him. The most recent one caught my eye. "Please, Lauren, answer the phone. I'm begging you." I smiled. The begging had started exactly 37 minutes after I'd forwarded the security footage to Charles. 37 minutes. That's how long it took for Ethan's perfect world to collapse. For his corporate email to be shut down. For his career to implode. My 38th birthday gift to myself. But let me back up. Let me tell you how this all began, just 7 hours earlier. For a week Ethan had been teasing me about my birthday. "Your gift will blow your mind," he'd whisper, kissing my cheek each morning before leaving for the office. Last night he'd been especially affectionate. He brought home my favorite Thai takeout, opened a bottle of Rioja, and told the kids to let me sleep in for my big day. I'd lain awake long after he started snoring, thinking about our 15 years of marriage, college sweethearts who'd built a life from scratch. His rise through the investment firm Donovan & Co. My decision to put my law career on hold when Chloe was born. The breezy San Diego coastal home we'd saved for. The family camping trips to Yosemite every summer. I touched the delicate bracelet he'd given me for our anniversary last month, wondering if my milestone birthday gift would be just as thoughtful. The house was eerily quiet when I finally woke up. No sounds of Liam playing video games too loud. No Chloe's music thumping through the wall. No smell of Ethan's coffee or the special birthday breakfast he'd promised. "Ethan?" I called, my voice bouncing off the walls of our master suite. His side of the bed was cold. He'd been gone for hours. I slipped on my robe and padded down the hallway. "Chloe? Liam?" I pushed open their bedroom doors to find perfectly made beds, unusual for my kids, and conspicuously empty closets. My heart pounded faster as I hurried downstairs, calling their names louder. The kitchen was spotless. I opened the fridge and found the ingredients Ethan had bought yesterday. Fresh strawberries, cream cheese, the sprouted bread I loved. All still sealed. My birthday breakfast, never made. That's when I noticed 3 toothbrushes missing from the family bathroom. Luggage gone from the front hall closet. My children's favorite sneakers were missing from the entry rack. I sank onto a kitchen stool, surrounded by family photos that suddenly felt like a cruel joke. The 5 of us at Disneyland last spring. Ethan's parents had joined. Chloe holding her drama club trophy. Liam's 3rd place medal from the robotics fair. Family portraits where we all smiled like we meant it. My phone chimed upstairs, and I sprinted up, breath held, hoping for a message that would make it all make sense. There were birthday wishes from college friends. My parents, a few colleagues from my old firm. Nothing from my husband. Nothing from my children. I texted Ethan, "Where are you guys?" The message showed as delivered. No response. I tried Chloe, "Honey, where did everyone go?" "Mom." Blue dots appeared. She saw it, then vanished. No reply. Liam would answer. Sweet Liam, who still hugged me in front of his friends. "Liam, please tell me what's happening. Read." No response. My hands shook as I opened Instagram. Chloe practically lived on it. My breath caught as her latest post loaded. There they were, Ethan, Chloe, and Liam, beaming beside an infinity pool that overlooked a spectacular oceanfront cityscape. White umbrellas, palm trees, impossible luxury. The Santorini caldera glittered in the background. All whitewashed villas and perfect sky. The caption shattered what remained of my composure. "Surprise vacation with the best dad ever." I stared at the post, reading and rereading that last line, trying to make sense of it. Daddy's treating us since mom's boring anyway. My daughter's words. My husband's smile. My family celebrating halfway across the world without me on my 38th birthday. I scrolled through more. Them boarding a first-class flight. Chloe filming the champagne welcome. Liam bouncing on the hotel bed in their private suite, with views that probably cost more than our monthly mortgage. Ethan, raising a flute of actual champagne while the kids clinked glasses of something garnished with fruit. All posted within the last 12 hours. My knees gave out. I slid down the hallway wall, still clutching my phone like a lifeline. They planned this. They deliberately excluded me. For the next hour I wandered the house like a ghost. I touched the framed photo from last Christmas, the one where we were all in matching pajamas. The blanket Ethan and I had curled under for years of Friday movie nights. Liam's 4th grade soccer trophy. Chloe's sketch of a sunflower I'd framed and hung near the window she liked to sit by. My sister called, then my mother. I let their birthday wishes go to voicemail. At 11 a.m., I poured myself a glass of wine and sat at our dining room table, the sunlight hitting all the wrong memories. I pulled out the oversized paper calendar we kept for family planning. Chloe's dance rehearsals, Liam's robotics club, Ethan's late meetings. As I flipped backward through the pages, a pattern emerged, one I'd never noticed until now. Ethan had blocked out this entire just busy, written in bold ink. No details, no trip discussed, no hint of plans. He hadn't once asked if I wanted to go to Santorini, hadn't even suggested the kids might be away on my birthday. I tried to think, had I done something to deserve this? Had I really become bored, so consumed by grocery lists, class sign-ups and holding the house together that I'd disappeared? Was turning 38 so offensive he needed to escape me? Around noon, I found myself drifting into Ethan's home office, searching for anything, any explanation. The desk drawers were locked, but I knew the key, taped underneath, tucked just behind the power strip. He didn't think I'd remember. Inside the bottom drawer, I found what he didn't want me to see: credit card statements he'd kept out of our shared finance app, jewelry purchases I'd never seen, Thursday night restaurant bill, boutique hotel stays in our own city, and then 3 tickets to Santorini, purchased 6 weeks ago. Among the receipts was a printed expense report. The same name kept popping up: Sierra Blake, his executive assistant, the beautiful, eager 26-year-old who always laughed too hard at Ethan's jokes at company dinners, who always seemed to need extra mentoring after hours. As I kept digging, my hand hit something at the back of the drawer, a phone I'd never seen before. Not his usual iPhone, a cheap burner phone. My fingers trembled as I powered it on. No passcode, no security. He'd been arrogant, or sloppy, or just that excited to run. The messages loaded, and with each one the ground beneath me cracked a little more. Can't wait for Thursday night. Same time, same place. Wear that red thing. Ethan to Sierra, 2 weeks ago. Santorini will be amazing. He has no idea. Sierra to Ethan, 1 week ago. Told the kids it's a special trip just for them. Chloe's already posting about it. Ethan to Sierra, yesterday I set the phone down. Oddly calm, the pieces were falling into place. The Thursday night client meetings, the sudden interest in working late, the decreasing intimacy at home, the way he'd begun casually criticizing my appearance, my hobbies, my conversation. I wasn't boring. I was being erased to make room for someone else. As I gathered the evidence from Ethan's desk, the burner phone, the expense reports, the credit card statements, a strange clarity washed over me. For the first time all day I didn't feel heartbroken. I felt focused. I thought about the security system at Donovan & Co., Ethan's firm. They'd done a full renovation 3 years ago after a major breach. Guess who helped them select the vendor? I'd walked that entire floor with Derek Cole, head of corporate security, when I was still seen as Lauren the capable JD, not Lauren the housewife. The cameras had full HD coverage, 2 years of cloud storage, encrypted archives, better than industry standard, Derek had said proudly. And Ethan, he was confident, cocky, certain I'd never question him. He never imagined I'd come looking, never dreamed I'd fight back. I reached for my phone and scrolled through my contacts. I hadn't spoken to Derek in years, not since I got his daughter Madison her internship at my old firm. His number was still saved. My thumb hovered. Was I really going to do this? 17 years of marriage. I had never checked his location, snooped through his emails, or tracked a single business dinner. Trust had been the cornerstone of our life. Or so I thought. I glanced at the burner phone lying face up beside me, screen still lit with Ethan's flirtations and lies. The evidence was damning, but I needed more. I needed to see how far it went, to watch him make a fool of me behind closed doors. I dug through my desk and found Derek's card, shoved beneath a stack of outdated networking contacts. Without giving myself another second to hesitate, I tapped. He answered on the third ring. Derek Cole. Hi Derek. It's Lauren Whitmore. Lauren, his voice lit up with familiarity. Wow, long time, how are you? Happy birthday if I'm not mistaken. His casual memory stung deeper than he knew. Thank you for remembering, I said, voice steady. Listen, I need a favor, and it's a little unorthodox. He paused. I'm listening. I'm putting together a surprise anniversary video for Ethan. I lied smoothly, something thoughtful. I wanted to include some footage of him at work. You know how committed he is, how hard he works, all that. Another pause. That's not exactly standard procedure, Lauren. I know, I said warmly, and I wouldn't ask if it wasn't meaningful. But you remember Amber, right? I heard she just made junior associate last month. She did, he chuckled. Thanks to you. I'm so happy for her. We all need a little help sometimes, don't we? I let the sentence hang just long enough. He sighed. Which dates were you thinking? Thursday evenings, I said, keeping my tone light. For the past month, that's when he's been staying late most often. Should be great material. Thursday evenings, he repeated, his tone shifting, curious now. Can you help me? Yeah, he said after a moment. I can probably send over a secure link. It'll expire in 24 hours. That work. Perfect, I exhaled. And Derek, I'd appreciate your discretion. I want this to be a complete surprise. Of course, we finalized the details and I hung up. Back at the family calendar, everything came into sharp focus. Every Thursday, marked strategy meeting, investor dinner, client call. I had never questioned the pattern. I thought about Sierra Blake, the young assistant Ethan had insisted on hiring personally, overriding HR's preferred candidate. She's hungry, she learns fast, he told me at the time. Now it made sense. All of it did. Every Thursday night for the past 6 months. Client dinner, late meeting, strategy session, always vague, always on Thursdays. My mind drifted to Sierra Blake's hiring. 8 months ago, Ethan had insisted on handling the interviews for his new executive assistant. HR had preferred a woman in her 40s with 2 decades of experience. But Ethan overruled them. She's sharp, eager, a fresh perspective, he'd said with a charming smile. I remembered meeting her at the holiday party, tall, blonde. She laughed too hard at Ethan's corny jokes and kept glancing at his wedding ring, like it was a challenge. I'd thought it was harmless back then. I'd been so trusting, but looking back the signs had been there. Ethan started using the expensive cologne he used to save for high-stakes pitches on Thursdays, his shirts suddenly needing to be perfectly pressed. His excuses got lazier, the client ran long, traffic was awful, networking drinks turned into dinner, and then the remarks about me started. That sweater again, have you thought about coloring your hair just to freshen it up? You were so into your art stuff once. Remember, each delivered with a smile, each landing like a paper cut to the soul. Meanwhile, Sierra was getting jewelry I'd never see, dinners I'd never be invited to, praise I hadn't heard in years. My laptop chimed. An email from Derek. The secure link and temporary password had arrived faster than expected. I poured another glass of wine and closed the blinds in my home office, turning the room into a quiet private theater of reckoning. The security system was slick, intuitive, a calendar view, floor plan interface, time markers. I selected last Thursday, 7-camera hallway outside Ethan's office. The footage loaded immediately. I watched employees trickle out, jackets on, elevator doors closing. At 7:43 p.m., Sierra returned from the break room, 2 glasses of wine in hand. She didn't knock. She walked in like she belonged there. I switched to the interior camera. Ethan stood to greet her. He smiled in that easy, familiar way. They spoke first about budget reviews and client concerns, but their proximity told another story. They sat too close on the leather couch. Their knees brushed. She handed him a file. Their fingers lingered. At 8:16 p.m., he kissed her. Not awkward, not tentative. A confident, well-rehearsed kiss. I stared, frozen, as the man who claimed headaches and work stress when I reached for him at home, now devoured his assistant on his office couch. Their movements were rushed, familiar. This wasn't new, it was routine. As they adjusted their clothes afterward, their voices became clearer. She has no idea, Sierra, Seb checking her lipstick in a compact mirror. Ethan chuckled. Thinks I'm planning some big birthday surprise at home. Well, you are surprising her, Sierra smirked, her tone venomous. Just not the way she expects. The kids are excited. Chloe's totally on board. She thinks her mom's boring anyway. Teenagers, Sierra shrugged. Useful pawns. And you're sure she won't dig around? She asked, tone turning cautious. Ethan laughed, actually laughed. Lauren, please. She's got her book club, her little journaling group, grocery lists. She stopped being interesting years ago. Each word sliced deeper than the last. Then Sierra pulled a tiny velvet box from her purse. She opened it with a gasp. Inside a diamond bracelet. The same brand. The same style as the necklace Ethan had given me just last month. I thought it was thoughtful. A symbol, turns out it was a lie. It's beautiful, Sierra whispered, slipping it on. Only the best for you, Ethan replied, kissing her again. And when I'm back from Santorini, we'll talk about that promotion. I sat still, cold, focused. Then I forced myself to watch 3 more Thursdays. Different days. Same story. Different outfits. Same couch. More evident, more intimate jokes. More references to me, the predictable invisible wife. More charges billed to client development, that were really date nights with Sierra. I downloaded everything, timestamped it, organized it in a folder labeled simply evidence. My hand didn't shake anymore. I wasn't scared. I was ready. By the time I finished reviewing the footage, my phone had accumulated 12 new notifications. Ethan had sent photos from their Santorini breakfast, a table laden with fruit, pastries and champagne, a panoramic shot of their hotel suite, Chloe and Liam lounging by the pool, laughing, and then, finally, Chloe's text. A half-hearted, "Happy birthday, Mom." 6 hours into the day I was supposed to feel celebrated. I ignored them all. Instead, I created a new folder on my laptop labeled Evidence. I downloaded key footage from the security cameras. I documented the burner phone texts, photographed the credit card statements, and travel confirmations, compiled a meticulous timeline of Ethan's deceptions. For hours I worked my old legal instincts, resurfacing with a sharp, methodical clarity. The pain had cooled into something colder, more focused. I remembered something Ethan had once boasted over dinner with his colleagues. Donovan & Co. doesn't mess around with executive conduct. Morality clause is ironclad. That's how we keep old money clients happy. Good. I knew exactly where to strike. Not at his heart. He didn't seem to have one. I'd aim for what mattered most to him. His power, his prestige, his position. By sunset on my 38th birthday, abandoned, but not defeated, I had my plan. I would not cry. I would not scream. I would not give him the satisfaction of a meltdown. Instead, I would let Charles Donovan, the managing partner at Ethan's firm, see exactly the kind of man he had trusted as a senior partner. And then I would wait. That night I slept better than I had in weeks. The same silence that had devastated me that morning now felt like sanctuary, a quiet stage on which I could execute the first act of my reinvention. I woke before my alarm, 5:30 a.m. with clarity in my chest, where the ache had been. Sunlight spilled through the blinds in my home office, as I pulled out the Donovan & Co. employee handbook, the one Ethan had left in his drawer years ago, still dog-eared and marked. Page 42, Section 8.3, Executive Conduct and Morality Clause. I highlighted the critical passages with a practiced eye. Executives shall not engage in romantic or sexual relationships with direct subordinates. Violation constitutes grounds for immediate termination. Misuse of company resources for personal affairs represents serious misconduct and will result in disciplinary action, up to and including dismissal. I didn't need an attorney to tell me what I already knew. This was airtight. Charles Donovan had cultivated his firm's image with care. Donovan & Co. managed billions in generational wealth for conservative clients. Discretion, ethics, reputation, those were his gods. I opened my laptop and began to draft the email with the precision I used to reserve for court filings. No emotion, no drama, just fact. An email was sent with the subject, urgent, executive ethics, violation, partner misconduct. Dear Mr. Donovan and board members, it is with deep regret that I bring to your attention serious violations of company policy by your partner Ethan Whitmore. The attached documentation includes an ongoing inappropriate relationship with his executive assistant, Sierra Blake, in direct violation of Section 8.3 of the Executive Conduct Policy. 2. Misuse of company property including office space and time for personal encounters during business hours. 3. Improper allocation of company funds for personal expenses including luxury jewelry, hotel stays and dining filed as client entertainment. As someone who has long respected Donovan & Co.'s stated commitment to ethical conduct, I felt compelled to bring this to your immediate attention. Respectfully, Lauren Whitmore, JD. Full. I added scans of the expense reports, with annotations highlighting misuse. A bracelet billed under client gifting. Hotel charges marked strategy off-site. Dinners logged as investor dinners for two. I was ready to hit send, but I waited. Timing mattered. Ethan had ranted about the firm's Tuesday morning executive meeting for years. They act like it's 1980, he'd said once. Annoyed, no phones, full attention. All the big decisions get made behind that door. Perfect. I installed an email tracker, one that would notify me the moment the message was opened. Then I made coffee, opened the blinds, and waited for 9:15 a.m. At exactly 9:15, I clicked send. The notification came almost instantly. Email delivered, then one by one. Opened by Charles Donovan. Opened by board member 1. Forwarded. Downloaded. Saved. At 9:27 a.m. my phone buzzed. A text from Derek. What did you do? Security just got called to the executive floor. I didn't reply. Instead, I refreshed the company website. At 9:52 a.m., a system-generated email appeared in my inbox. User ethan.whitmore.donovan.com. Status. Access revoked. Effective immediately, authorization level. Executive override. 24 minutes later, my security app pinged with a home system notification. Badge access denied. Died. Ethan Whitmore. At 10:06 a.m., I received an email from Charles Donovan himself. Mrs. Whitmore, thank you for bringing these matters to our attention. Donovan & Co. takes all ethical violations seriously. Appropriate actions have been taken. If you require further assistance, please contact my office directly. Charles Donovan, Managing Partner, Donovan & Co. I returned to the Our Team page on the company's website. Ethan's photo was gone. The grid of suits looked uneven without him. And just like that, his kingdom collapsed in under an hour. I installed an email tracking extension that would notify me the moment the message was open. Then I made a pot of coffee and watched the clock. At precisely 9:15 a.m., as the executive meeting at Donovan & Co. was called to order, I clicked send. The notification appeared instantly. Email delivered successfully. By 9:23 a.m., the first RID receipt arrived. Then 5 more in rapid succession. At 9:27 a.m. my phone buzzed with a text from Derek. What did you do? Security just got called to the executive floor. I didn't respond. Instead, I watched my tracker light up. Multiple opens, forwards, downloads. The board was reading and panicking. At 9:52 a.m., exactly 37 minutes after I sent the email, an automated notification landed in my inbox. This is an automated message from Donovan & Co. IT Department user, ethan.whitmore.donovan.com. Status. Access terminated, effective. Immediate authorization level. Executive override. My phone vibrated again, this time from my home security app, the one Ethan had forgotten I still man. Back when we installed it, it was just for checking on the kids. Package deliveries and Ethan's late arrivals. It also synced with his office badge activity. The latest entry read, Office access, executive floor, security override. They were escorting him out. At 10:06, a final tidy email arrived from Charles Donovan. Mrs. Whitmore, thank you for bringing these matters to our attention. Donovan & Co. takes all ethics violations with the utmost seriousness. Appropriate action has been taken. Effective immediate. Should you require any additional support, my office is at your disposal. Charles Donovan, Managing Partner, Donovan & Co. I refreshed the company website, navigated to the Our Team page, where Ethan's face once sat at the center of the partner leadership grid. There was now a visible gap. No photo, no title, just a hollow space where he used to be. At 10:29 a.m. my phone lit up. Ethan's name, his face. I declined it. He called again, and again, then came the texts. What did you do? My access is revoked. Security just escorted me out. Answer your phone right now. This isn't funny, Lauren. Are you trying to ruin us? With each message, a strange calm settled deeper into me. I silenced the ringer but kept the phone where I could see it, watching his panic unfold in real time. By noon he had called 63 times. At 12:17, a text from Chloe finally came through. Mom, what's happening? Dad's freaking out. He says we have to leave. Is everything okay? Seconds later, a message from Liam. Mom, are you all right? Dad won't tell us what's wrong, but he's really mad. He's making us pack. I didn't respond. Not yet. The calls continued. 77. 92. Mine out came. My 2 p.m. The counter hit 127 missed calls. His WhatsApp messages had grown increasingly frantic. Please, Lauren, answer the phone. I'm begging you, whatever you think happened, we can fix this. Think about the kids. Think about our family. I've been locked out of everything. Email accounts. Building access. Charles won't speak to me. No one will. What did you tell them? That last one made me smile. He still didn't know exactly what I'd done. Couldn't fathom the breadth of it. How I'd had access to everything he thought was hidden. The burner phone. The credit card statements. The footage. The policies he'd never thought I remembered. The favor I'd called in at just the right moment. While his digital world imploded, I moved through our house with purpose. I gathered his personal items. His beloved college football trophies. Framed photos from ski trips and fundraisers. His curated watch collection, each packed neatly into cardboard boxes labeled simply Ethan's item. Then I made a call I'd been putting off. My friend Rachel Linwood, one of the few women from law school who had never stepped away from practice. She picked up after one ring. Lauren, her voice was warm but immediately concerned. What's going on? I need an emergency consultation, I said. Marriage dissolution under grounds of infidelity, financial misconduct and emotional abandonment. A pause. Then gentle but serious. Lauren, what happened? I'll explain when we meet, but I need to act fast. How soon can you file to freeze joint assets? If it's emergency circumstances, Rachel replied, switching into full attorney mode. I can file by end of day. Then came a question I hadn't expected. Are you safe? It gave me pause. Not because I felt in danger, but because I realized something else entirely. I was safe. And for the first time in years I was fully, terrifyingly, gloriously in control. I'm perfectly safe, I told Rachel. And for the first time in years I'm seeing clearly. After scheduling our meeting for the following morning, I got to work. I called a locksmith who arrived within the hour. All exterior locks were changed. And I reprogrammed our smart security system with brand new codes. Ethan had installed the system but forgotten I still managed the admin settings. Then I contacted our bank and froze our joint accounts, citing potential fraudulent activity. Every action was surgical, precise. Piece by piece I dismantled the power Ethan had wielded over our shared life. By late afternoon Chloe called. Not texted, called. Her name lit up on my screen. I let it ring. They had chosen their side that morning, boarding that flight, posting that caption. They could sit with their confusion a while longer. As the sun dipped low, casting golden light across the hardwood floors of our bedroom, I sat in the space we once shared, and felt something I hadn't in years. Power. Not fury, not vengeance, not even grief. Just this deep, steady pulse of clarity. For 17 years I had twisted myself around Ethan's world. His needs, his career, his image. I'd paused my own dreams, managed the household, kept his secrets, raised our children while he climbed. I'd shaped myself into the kind of wife he could showcase. And in return, I'd been a ring. But now, as the notifications from his burning life poured in, I held every card. Each desperate call confirmed what I already knew. The balance had shifted. I was no longer boring, no longer the background character in my own life. I was the woman who had dismantled him precisely, perfectly, with a smile and a well-timed email. And I wasn't done. That evening I tracked their digital retreat. Chloe's Instagram stories gave it away. Each post a breadcrumb. A confused selfie, vacation cut short, a photo of packed bags, sudden change of plans. Even Liam, usually silent online, posted a rare airport photo. His face looked pale, his caption hesitant, heading home early. Not sure why. Through the family location sharing app, which Ethan had insisted we use for safety, I watched their avatars move across the globe, from Santorini to Athens, to Heathrow to JFK. Then finally, Ethan's calls had slowed, replaced by urgent, choppy messages. No direct flights. Connecting through London. Delays. Kids are asking questions I can't answer. Answer your damn phone, Lauren. I didn't. I let him stew in turbulence, both literal and psychological. By the time their flight was wheels down, I'd spent the day finalizing everything with Rachel. You've got him dead to rights, she said, flipping through the printed evidence with a practiced eye. The printup's clear infidelity clause, clear violation, and the financial misconduct. The hotel bills alone. She shook her head. We'll file first thing tomorrow morning. Let him wake up to that. Now, as night settled over the quiet San Diego suburb, I positioned myself on our front porch. a glass of water beside me, a folder of carefully curated evidence resting on my lap. The porch light cast soft shadows across the manicured garden. Ethan had once obsessed over curb appeal, he'd always said. At 9:47 p.m., headlights cut through the dark. An Uber SUV pulled into our driveway. 3 figures emerged. Ethan, Chloe and Liam, all visibly exhausted. Ethan saw me first. His face contorted as he approached, emotions flashing like a broken signal. Relief, anger, panic. Chloe and Liam hovered behind him, confused, watching. They knew something had unraveled. They just didn't know what. "What did you do?" Ethan hissed as he stormed toward the steps. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" I stood calm, measured. "I know exactly what I did," I said. "The question is, do you—" Chloe stepped forward first, her teenage armor already up, shoulders squared, voice tight. "Mom, why didn't you answer our calls?" "Dad said there was an emergency." "There was," I said, rising to my feet. The folder pressed calmly against my chest. "Just not the kind your father described." Liam remained silent, his eyes bouncing between us, wide and anxious, sensing the emotional static thickening the air. "Kids, take your bags inside," Ethan ordered, not looking away from me. "The locks have been changed," I said evenly, "and they should stay. They deserve to know why their trip was cut short." I opened the folder. The first printed photo landed in Ethan's hands like a stone. Him and Sierra on the office couch, her dress hiked up, his shirt half open, mid-embrace. He tried to fold it quickly but not before Chloe caught a glimpse over his shoulder. "Dad," she whispered, her voice cracking with something between disbelief and betrayal. "It's not what it looks like," he said. "The oldest lie in the book," muttered without conviction. "It's exactly what it looks like," I replied, voice steady. I handed them the next page. Another screenshot. Him holding a wine glass, Sierra in his lap. A timestamp, a date, a Thursday. "Your father has been having an affair with his assistant for months," I said plainly. "During the same period he's been telling me I'm boring and no longer worth taking to dinner." Ethan's face twisted, some combination of shame, rage and the slow crumbling of a man used to being in control. "Don't do this in front of them," he hissed. "Why not?" I countered, sharp but calm. "You already did." I turned to the kids. "While I was home on my birthday, thinking maybe you were planning a surprise, you were actually part of your father's cover story. He used you both to justify a trip that was never about you." Chloe's confidence faltered. "That's not true," she said, though the fight in her voice had softened. "He said, you were too stressed, you wouldn't want to go, that you needed the space." "Did I look stressed in the dozens of birthday texts I sent yesterday?" I asked gently. "Or did I look like someone who woke up to an empty house on the day her family was supposed to be celebrating with her?" Liam stepped forward then, tears already sliding down his face. "I told you we should have called Mom first," he whispered to Ethan. "I didn't want to leave without saying anything." I looked Ethan in the eye. "You needed to control the narrative," I said flatly. "And so you manipulated our children into believing I was checked out." I handed Chloe and Liam each a printed screenshot. Their own social media posts. The ones I had archived before they could be deleted. Chloe's caption, the one that had gutted me, "Daddy's treating us since Mom's boring anyway." Chloe stared at it like it was written in another language. "Did you suggest that wording?" I asked, quieter now. Her eyes, so heartbreakingly like mine, welled up. "Dad said it would be funny, that you'd laugh when you saw it later." Ethan stepped toward the front door, posturing again. "This is ridiculous. We're exhausted. Let us in, and we can talk like adults." I smiled without warmth. Like the adult who abandoned his wife on her birthday? Or the adult who used our family credit card to buy a bracelet for his mistress? Chloe gasped. Liam made a soft, wounded sound and clutched his bag tighter. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, with the measured clarity I'd practiced all day. "Chloe and Liam can come inside. Their rooms are untouched, exactly as they left them. You, Ethan, can find somewhere else to stay." I nodded toward the garage. "Your personal items are boxed, labeled, waiting. You can't lock me out of my own house," he snapped. "The house that's in my name?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "The one I inherited from my grandmother, that I renovated using my trust fund." "That house." I stepped aside. "I think I can." Liam was the first to move. He slipped past me through the door without hesitation. Chloe hesitated, torn. She stood at the threshold between two versions of her life. One she'd known and one she was just beginning to question. "It's okay, Em," I said softly. "This isn't your fault. None of it is." She turned to Ethan. "Dad," she asked, as if hoping he'd confess something. Tell the truth. Redeem something. Anything. Ethan's face twisted into something ugly. Your mother's lost her mind, he said darkly. She's trying to destroy this family because she's jealous and vindictive. The accusation hung in the air for a moment before I responded. Chloe, check your father's phone. Look for messages from Sierra. Don't touch my phone, Ethan snapped, his voice too sharp, too late. But Chloe had already seen the truth in his face. That involuntary flinch. The guilt bleeding through the cracks. She didn't need to open the phone. She'd seen enough. Without another word, she walked past me into the house, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Left alone on the porch, Ethan's facade finally collapsed. You've destroyed everything, he whispered. My career, my reputation. You did that yourself, I replied, cool and steady. Every Thursday night for 6 months. Every lie you told our children. Every time you charged a hotel room to our family account. He said nothing. He had nothing. The days that followed were a strange cocktail of chaos and clarity. Ethan's professional demise was swift and brutal. Charles Donovan himself called to confirm. Several major clients requested reassignment, he told me, his tone diplomatic but firm. The investment community is tight. Word travels fast. Sierra, for her part, accepted a quiet settlement and resignation package. No goodbyes. No grand defense. She disappeared from Ethan's life as quickly as she had entered it. And without his position, power or expense account, she'd found greener pastures. His colleagues, the ones who'd toasted him at our dinner parties, whose kids had played soccer with ours, stopped returning his call. His business connections dried up overnight. The country club temporarily suspended his membership. Unspoken exile. The network he'd spent decades building collapsed in the span of a week. Scandal has a gravitational pull. No one wanted to be caught in Ethan Whitmore's orbit. Meanwhile, Chloe and Liam began processing their own betrayal. Chloe's early defense of her father shattered quietly the more she put the pieces together. He kept saying you were probably glad for the break, she admitted one night, her voice small, that you never really liked family vacations anyway. Liam's response was simpler, less tangled by adolescence. I didn't want to go without you, he said over and over, clinging to me like the little boy he used to be. It felt wrong the whole time. Through all of it, I found a strength I hadn't known I possessed. I held them both as they grieved the version of their father they thought they knew. I answered questions gently, told the truth without cruelty, and reassured them again and again. The divorce isn't your fault. You don't have to choose. I love you unconditionally. 1 week after my birthday, Rachel and I met with Ethan and the lawyer he'd scrambled to hire. It was a stark little conference room. Sunlight filtered through dusty blinds. He looked smaller somehow, paler, like the air had left him. Rachel slid the divorce papers across the table, along with a binder of evidence. The prenuptial agreement Mrs. Whitmore signed, Rachel began, professional and clinical, includes a clearly defined infidelity clause. She opened to the marked text. Section 3(2) specifically voids the community property provisions in the event of extramarital affairs. Ethan's lawyer flipped through it, his face tightening as he scanned the evidence. Rachel continued, sliding a second document across the table, a spreadsheet. We've also documented extensive misuse of marital funds for personal indulgences, jewelry, hotel rooms, the recent Santorini trip. Each charge was neatly categorized. Every date, every vendor. We have 3 witnesses prepared to testify, she added without inflection. But Miss Whitmore is prepared to offer a reasonable settlement. It was simple. I would keep the house, primary custody of Chloe and Liam. Ethan would retain his premarital investments and a few personal assets. He would pay reasonable child support. No alimony. I didn't want his money. I didn't need his charity. I needed closure. Most important, the offer included a confidentiality agreement in exchange for a quick, uncontested divorce. I wouldn't publicly share anything beyond what was already known. You're being surprisingly generous, his lawyer said, puzzled. I'm being practical, I replied. I want this chapter closed, so my children and I can move forward. Ethan signed. His hand trembled slightly, but he didn't protest. And as I watched the final stroke of ink on the paper, I realized the final cruel truth of our marriage. Even in its ruin, he still didn't truly see me. He had underestimated my intelligence, my resilience, my ability to turn devastation into strategy. It was the last mistake he would make at my expense. I didn't expect healing to begin with silence, but it did. 2 weeks after signing the divorce papers, I found myself sitting in Dr. Simone Hayes's softly lit office. She offered a kind smile, a notepad, and space. I sat there, unmoved. The words were there, 17 years of them, but they remained trapped, buried beneath a lifetime of accommodating everyone else's needs before my own. Take your time, she said, voice gentle but firm. This space is yours. And just like that, something shifted. The silence cracked, and I began. Those 4 words unlocked something profound. My space, my time, my healing. Our weekly sessions became the foundation of my recovery. Hayes helped me unearth patterns I had never recognized. How I had quietly dimmed my own light to keep Ethan's shining brighter. How I'd internalized his subtle criticisms, until I believed them, that I was boring, that I was forgettable, that I was lucky to be tolerated. You built your identity around being his wife, she said during our 3rd session. Now you get to discover who Lauren really is. That journey began with small things. I dug out the watercolor set I'd packed away when Chloe was born, tubes of pigment stiff, but still usable. My first brushstrokes were shaky, tentative, but I kept painting, and in every imperfect hue something quietly healed. I joined a book club, not the one Ethan mocked for being predictable suburbia, but one focused on women's journaling and self-discovery. Most importantly, I started reconnecting with friends who had slipped away from my life. Not because I stopped caring but because Ethan made it easier to isolate. Lunch with my law school roommate, Heather, revealed a bitter truth. We stopped inviting you, she said over grilled salmon and iced tea. Ethan always said you were too tired or busy with the kids. Eventually we figured, you weren't interested anymore. Similar conversations followed. Friends I adored had been carefully methodically nudged away from me under the guise of Ethan protecting my time, or managing my stress. Each reconnection felt like recovering a piece of myself I hadn't realized had been stolen. My journal became a safe place to pour out the chaos. One entry read, "Today I found his old running shoes in the garage and threw them in the trash. Then I felt guilty and pulled them back out. Then I got angry for feeling guilty and threw them out again." Progress isn't linear. The kid's healing unfolded in tandem with mine. Chloe, racked with guilt over her unwitting role in the deception, withdrew for a while, more reserved, more watchful. Liam became clingy, often checking in on me throughout the day, afraid I might disappear too if he didn't keep me close. Their visits with Ethan, now living in a furnished apartment downtown, were required by the court, but emotionally exhausting. They often came back heavy, fragile. To combat that, I built new traditions to replace the ones tainted by betrayal. Friday movie nights, once dictated by Ethan's preferences, became a democratic affair. We each got a vote, and no one could veto. Sunday brunches, which used to be rushed through before Ethan's tea time, became slow, sacred hours filled with pancakes, laughter, and really bad coffee I pretended to like because Liam made it. Family therapy helped us all learn how to voice what was too big to carry alone. "I'm mad at Dad, but I still love him," Liam confessed one afternoon, eyes full of conflict. "Does that make me disloyal to you?" "Love isn't a finite resource," our counselor replied gently. "Loving your father doesn't take anything away from your love for your mother." Chloe's healing was more layered, complicated by her age, her awareness, her anger. One night, as we cooked dinner together, she looked at me and said quietly, "You're different now." I paused, unsure if it was judgment or observation. "You laugh more," she added. "I'm remembering who I was," I told her, setting down a spoon, "and discovering who I can be." Her face softened. "I'm sorry about that Instagram caption," she whispered, voice cracking. "I would never have posted it if I'd known." I pulled her close, arms wrapped tight around her shaking shoulders. "I know, sweetheart. We were all manipulated in different ways." That moment, raw, unguarded, was a turning point. As I began sharing appropriate pieces of my healing with them, they began to see me not just as their mother, but as a full person, and that shift allowed something new, real connection. 3 months after the divorce filing, I received a call that caught me completely off guard. "Charles Donovan, we're establishing a new ethics and compliance division," he said. "Given your legal background and your unique insight into executive misconduct, we'd like to discuss a potential role for you." The irony wasn't lost on me. The firm that had once been the backdrop of my husband's lies now wanted me to help write its code of integrity. The firm that had once been the site of my deepest betrayal was now offering me professional redemption. "I'm not interested in being a cautionary tale," I told Charles Donovan bluntly during our second call. "That's exactly why you're perfect for this," he replied without hesitation. "You understand the human cost of ethical breach, and frankly, several of our female executives specifically requested your involvement." That stopped me. I talked it through with Dr. Hayes, processed the emotional complexity with care, and after some soul-searching, I said yes to the interview. Walking back into Donovan & Co. headquarters was surreal, like stepping onto a stage where I had once been humiliated, only now with the script in my hands. I was no longer Ethan Whitmore's wife. I was Lauren Whitmore, JD, a professional in my own right. The position they offered me was tailor-made, flexible hours to accommodate my family, challenging meaningful work that tapped into my legal expertise, and most importantly, the chance to build real guardrails, policies that could protect others from enduring what I completed my refresher certifications in corporate compliance law, and then I strode back into my professional life with a quiet confidence I hadn't felt in decades. 6 months after the birthday that had unraveled my world, I faced Ethan for the final divorce proceeding. The man who entered the conference room barely resembled the one I had once built a life around. His once tailored suits now hung loosely from his frame, his temples grayed, his posture sunken, that charm he once wielded like a weapon had dulled. "You look well," he said, clearly surprised. "I am well," I replied simply. As our attorneys reviewed the final agreement, Ethan leaned in, voice low. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," he murmured. "We built a life together, Lauren. 17 years. The kids need stability. Maybe we could consider counseling, a fresh start." I looked him directly in the eyes, not unkindly but with no softness left. "There's no going back, Ethan. Is this really what you want?" he asked, voice tightening. "To tear apart our family over one mistake? This is what you created," I said. "I'm just moving forward." Before leaving, I placed a small velvet box on the table between us. Inside was the anniversary necklace he'd given me, the one that matched the bracelet he bought for Sierra. "This doesn't belong to me," I said quietly. "It never did," and I walked away. I didn't look back. My attorney's heels echoed beside mine as we exited into the hallway, into spring sunshine, into something I hadn't felt in so long. Peace. Farno Mon, 39 West birthday, arrived on a perfect April morning. No cryptic promises, no elaborate lies, just a new kind of joy. Liam knocked on my bedroom door at a reasonable hour, proudly carrying slightly burned toast and a cup of coffee he'd made himself. "Chloe's decorating downstairs," he whispered. "She made me promise not to tell." I followed the scent of frosting and laughter to find that my daughter had transformed our dining room. Handmade paper flowers covered the walls. A banner stretched across the room in glittering letters. "Mom's Rebirth." My parents arrived, arms full of my favorite childhood dishes. Friends came bearing art supplies, journals, books and hiking gear, thoughtful gifts that celebrated not who I'd been for someone else, but who I was finally becoming for myself. My sister brought old photo albums full of images from before Ethan, reminding me of the bright, ambitious woman I once was and was now reclaiming. When Chloe carried out the cake she had baked from scratch, chocolate with buttercream, my favorite, not Ethan's perennial carrot cake, I felt tears gather in my eyes. I raised my glass, to lessons learned the hard way, to resilience found in broken places, and to all of you who helped me remember that life's most valuable gift is authenticity. Later, as the guests said their goodbyes and my children gathered dishes, I stepped onto the back porch. The home was mine now. The garden I had planted after the divorce was beginning to bloom. Green shoots pushing through soil I had turned with my own hands. New life. From the wreckage, from the silence, I watched the sunset stretch across the sky in bold streaks of color and thought, this wasn't the life I planned, but maybe it's the one I was always meant to build. Surrounded by people who valued me, not for who I'd supported, but for who I was, I understood something simple and extraordinary. Ethan had accidentally kept his promise. My 38th birthday gift had indeed blown my mind, just not in the way he ever imagined. It shattered the illusion, and from that ruin I rebuilt something real, something true, and that painful, unexpected gift, it had ultimately set me free. If you found Lauren's journey as powerful and jaw-dropping as we did, don't forget to like this video, and subscribe to our channel for more true stories of strength, betrayal and ultimate redemption. Your support helps us keep sharing the voices that deserve to be heard. What would you have done if your partner left you on your birthday to vacation with the kids and a secret lover? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one, and remember, sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one planning the most unforgettable comeback.